only 30. That in-between age, where you're no longer too young to see the cracks in the world, but not old enough to feel like it's too late to try and fix them. At 30, you start to realize there are things you just can't ignore anymore, like racial injustice. I wasn't born during the civil rights movement. I didn't grow up in a time when your skin color decided where you could sit or who you could marry. I was born after all that, in a world that had already polished itself with promises of progress. And for a while, I believed that everything was okay. But then little things happened. Small moments barely noticeable to some that stirred something in me. Like the time a black friend of mine told me he never jogs at night. Not because he's lazy, but because he's scared of being mistaken for a criminal. I didn't know what to say. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know where to begin to respond to a truth so quietly painful. Or the time I sat in a room full of friends, and someone made a joke about Asians. Everyone laughed. I did too. But inside, I felt something sink. Not because I was the target, but because I knew my silence was complicity. And it's moments like those, the small, quiet ones, that keep racism alive in the background of our lives. As a kid, I thought racism was something of the past, something adults used to talk about in history books. But now I know it's still here. It's in the way people decide who looks suspicious. It's in the way some names are taken more seriously than others. It's in the unspoken rules of who belongs and who's still being asked where they're really from. Racial equality, I've learned, is not automatic. It's not a default setting. It's a fight. Not a violent one, but a steady, intentional, uncomfortable one. And no, I've never been stopped by police for the way I look. I've never had to change my voice to sound more professional. I've never been turned down for housing or a job because of my last name. But I have seen it. Heard it? Sat beside people who live it every day. And I've realized that if I stay silent, I'm part of the problem. I don't need to fully understand someone else's experience to respect it. I don't need to carry their pain to stop adding to it. I don't need to be a hero. I just need to stop pretending it's not happening. At 30, I've learned that kindness isn't about how well you speak, but how deeply you listen. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply stand beside someone when they speak up, so they don't feel alone. Justice doesn't happen on its own. It's a choice. A choice to not laugh at that harmless joke. A choice to ask questions when something feels wrong. A choice to examine ourselves and ask, am I part of the healing, or am I helping the hurt continue? I don't know how much more I'll change in the rest of my life, but I do know this. Once you open your eyes to the realities others face, you can't unsee them. You can't go back to pretending. I don't want to live a life where my silence hurts someone else. I want the next generation, my kids, your kids, our friends' kids, to grow up in a world where are you from is just curiosity, not exclusion. I want them to be seen for who they are, not where they came from. I want them to walk into any room without wondering if their skin is the reason they're being overlooked. And I know that won't happen overnight. But if I start now, if you start now, if all of us start with small things, how we speak, how we treat others, how we raise our children, then step by step, we'll get closer to true equality. I'm not telling this story because I've done everything right. I'm telling it because I haven't. Because I've been quiet, I've overlooked things, I've let stuff slide. But I've learned, I've grown, I've changed. And if you're still listening, maybe you're on that journey too. A journey of unlearning and relearning, of choosing awareness over comfort, of being just a little better than the person you were yesterday. And sometimes, that's enough to start making the world a little better too.